And the music happened. That's perfect. I haven't waited enough time. Thanks for coming. I'm really, really happy to have you today talking about this not necessarily easy topic. Julien, you did hesitate a bit before, but I was convinced that we needed you, because what is important is to understand that, again, it's a journey. You don't wake up like that, hey, we're sustainable. No, it takes a while. This is a journey. So really, we want to share great insights from you guys, because your cases are very interesting. Let's start with you, Vidar. It seems that, and you will talk about Asket, the brand you work for, but it seems that sustainability has always been part of the DNA of Asket. Can you tell us more about what is Asket and how it started for that brand?
Sure. Yeah, so Asket is a Swedish clothing brand selling a permanent collection to both women's wear and menswear. So doing a permanent collection means that we're only doing one collection, and we're not changing our products season by season. So comparing to the talk previously, where they mentioned that they had millions of SKUs,
yes,
that's obviously not the case for us. We have in the thousands of SKUs. But our goal fundamentally is to change the way the apparel industry works across the entire value chain, which includes transparency, like how much we actually know about how the garment is produced, but also impact, how much they impact the clothing actually produce. And then lastly, we do all of this by educating our customers and bringing them along in the journey of how a garment actually is made.
We will talk a lot about that, Vidar, because educating your customer is something key for you. But what I love from you, when we started our discussion, our session to prepare that discussion, you told me that sentence like the world was not expecting for another fashion brand, which is true. We know that the fashion industry is one of the more polluting one. So I love that you have always that in mind at Asket.
Yeah.
So it's really about offering the right wardrobe, okay, once a year. So what's your role at Asket, Vidar?
Sure, yeah. So I work as head of technology and data, and I've been leading the whole scaling and building our systems since 4 years ago when I started out at the company. And the company itself has just been around for 7 years. So I've been around for quite some time in terms of the lifespan of the company.
But how did you discover Asket? Because you are not meant to work for a fashion brand.
No, exactly. Yeah, so when I studied financial mathematics. So I thought I was going to be working at a bank or in the financial sector. But then I actually listened to a podcast with the two founders. So yeah, here you can see on the slide, this was our first office in Stockholm, Sweden. And in that sofa over there, I had my first interview then with August, one of the founders.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you felt like working for that company and offering your skills to develop their mission.
Yeah.
That's how it started. I love that story. And you, Julien, so thanks for coming from Japan. You were there last week, and you will explain why in a minute. Everybody must have held a pilot pen in his hand one day, for sure. I have a lot. What we probably less know is that sustainability is also part of Pilot's DNA from the early 2000s, right? So can you tell us more about the brand's commitment?
Okay, so first of all, good afternoon, everyone. So I'm not living in Japan, I'm just coming back from Japan, so I'm French. I'm working for Pilot, which is, how can I say, a less recent company than Asket. Because Pilot has been settled in 1918 in Japan. So sustainability appears like a game changer to take into account, to continue to improve our business. And from the 2000, we start and we lead a study, life assessment analysis, to better measure and to better understand the carbon footprint of the global activity. And thanks to this analysis, we understand that the use of raw material, which is plastic, because our job is to inject plastic stuff, represent more than 77% of the global CO2 emission.
That's huge, yeah.
Yeah, so the question mark then was how to reduce our carbon emission, given and keeping the standard of quality of Japanese group.
Okay, so that's how it started.
Yeah.
First, you decided to study.
Yeah.
Okay, what is wrong? What can we enhance? Where to focus our energy on? And can you tell us quickly, Julien, what is your role for Pilot Pen and how it started for you there?
Yeah, and just to finish on
Julien.
what I want to say, that thanks to this study, we developed strategy, an environmental strategy based on 4R.
Yeah.
So refill, reduce, reclaim, and recycle.
And I thought we had a video to show, right? But probably...
Preserving our environment is a constant, tenacious and difficult battle. At Pilot, we relentlessly innovate and get involved for the planet. Producing pens in a world where plastic waste is an ecological disaster represents a real technological and human challenge, which is why all our actions drive us to do better. Better by transformation. Recycle. Keep the use of plastic to the minimum. Since 2006, we have favored recycled plastic in production of our pens. The Be Green range is the first range of pens in the world made of at least 70% recycled plastic and up to 90% for B2P, which is made from plastic water bottles. By using recycled plastic in the production of a B2P gel ink, we cut the CO2 impact of the pen by 36.9%. Better by limitation. Reduce. Less plastic in our packaging. We have been reducing the weight of plastic in our blister packaging for years. In 2020, we established a 100% recyclable packaging format for the Pilot Be Green range. Better by evolution. Refill. Change the ink, not the body. Over 60% of our products are refillable. It forces us to rethink the way we consume because it promotes the use of the same product several times instead of throwing it away. By refilling a B2P gel ink 3 times, you can reduce the CO2 impact by 50% compared to the single use of 4 pens. Better by taking part. Reclaim. Let's write another future for our planet. Every year, between 8 and 12 million tons of plastic make their way into our oceans and waterways. At Pilot, we don't want this sad reality to become a fatality. This is why we work with TerraCycle, a world leader in recycling hard-to-recycle materials. From 2021, and for the first time in the world, our B2P range will be made in part from plastic waste found on our seashores, a human and technological challenge. Protecting natural resources is a major issue for us, and we are proud to have earned the ISO and EMAS labels for over 10 years in recognition of our commitment. Taking care of men and women while preserving natural resources is the real strength of our company, and 100% of our employees are committed to our environmental approach. Write your world. Pilot.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that with us, because again, what I like is that this is a hot topic, but it's quite harder when you are an older brand. You need to start somewhere, and you did start in the early 2000s again, and so that was a big move, that was a game changer, and we're gonna follow the conversation after a while. So now I'd like to know, Vidar, you started to explain that you need to educate your customers. What was at stake? You own that sentence internally. You say that to teach, you must learn. Can you explain what you mean with that?
Of course. So when we set out to change the fashion industry, the co-founders, they didn't really know a lot about fashion. So they went to our factories in Portugal and Italy, and basically observed the whole production chain of how to produce a simple T-shirt. And doing that, they got this eye-opening experience, an eye-opening perspective of how much effort, love, resources, and energy that actually goes into making a simple T-shirt. So when we went on that journey and taught ourselves how much energy is actually putting into it, we then figured that in order for our customers to be able to appreciate the true value and the true cost of producing a garment, we need to bring our customers along on the journey. So what you can see here is an example of how we are.
That was the previous
Yeah,
one.
exactly.
Yes.
So the different ways of showing how the garment is made, in which facilities, and how much impact that it's causing.
And even that, I mean, this is
Yeah.
really, really meaningful. You can't guess that
Exactly.
immediately. So that's what you decided to do, share a lot of information. And so very early, you figure out that, okay, if we need to teach, to educate, as you say, it means a lot more and more product information. So that's how very early you figure out that we need to tackle that topic. Right?
Exactly. So this slide, if you can go to the previous one, was just the water bottle. So yeah, this is just one of the many examples that you might have seen before, just showing how it really doesn't add up within the fashion industry, that you have a simple water bottle and then costing as much as a t-shirt in many of the fast fashion brands, whereas the actual impact of the same t-shirt is vastly larger than common products such as water. And this is something that we then are trying to educate our customers on, to help them understand how much impact they actually have when buying something, because being a sustainable brand and doing sustainable initiatives is very good. It's a good start, but at some point, actually consuming less is the best thing that you can actually do as a consumer. So we want our customers to buy higher quality garments at then a higher price point to a smaller impact in total. So in the next slide, we then see like what our PDP actually looks like today. So as you can see, we have a lot of nice looking information, and beneath the product page you can see just the traceability information,
and
how much impact.
We have a screen record, you remember, I think, to show how much you invest in sharing this information. So it's just here, yes.
Yeah. So here we can take a look.
So we are on your website.
Exactly. So this is just browsing to our t-shirt here. And here we just want to showcase the way we merchandise our product. So here in the top we have most of the basic information, but beneath here is where we really dig deep. And here we show the complete cost breakdown of the garment, the transparency. So here are all of the different steps in how the t-shirt is made. We have an exact list of all of the countries where it's produced. And then finally, the impact of the t-shirt in carbon emissions, water, and energy. So yeah, a lot of detailed information, and this gives a bit of a hint for why we then needed a PIM.
Yes.
So here you can see to the right what, like internally, when we then need to store all of this information somewhere. Before we had a PIM, we stored all of this information in Excel.
Classic.
Or in Google Sheets. And just here you can see, maybe you can't even see the text, but this is like the summarized list of all of the different data points that we collect on the products, which is huge and very inconvenient to manage in Excel. So yeah.
And what you shared with me when we were preparing is that, so you very quickly consider having a PIM. You were pretty educated on that. And I love the analogy you made. It's like, I also wanted to build a sustainable tech stack in a way, a product for us as head of product. You wanted also to be sustainable in the way you will build that, so thinking about it to be the most scalable as possible. So I think that's a great analogy too. I love that. So thanks for sharing that. Julien, if I come back to you and to that need for a PIM, it came also very early. You will tell us when, but you started with the community edition of Akeneo, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Very early?
Yeah, exactly. We have deployed the CE version in 2015 at European level in order to gather in one place all product information and to share all product information with our distributors based all in Europe. especially because our distributors or subsidiaries do not have the same ERP.
Okay.
So we need a PIM to gather all product information and also to make the data sharing process easier through PCE, so Pilot Corporation of Europe,
Okay.
and our distributor, and also data sharing, easier process from distributor to retailers.
So what did you convince, how did you convince probably yourself and the team that you needed more to empower the team, the subsidiary, and turn into Akeneo SaaS edition? What did convince you?
Actually, the SaaS version, when we study it, because we were, how can I say, fed up about updates, implementation, maintenance fees, and so on. So we would like something more stable. So first of that. Second, when we had a look on the SaaS version, we observed that this version covered roughly more than 90% of our need. So many benefits, and finally, we were thinking about our digital roadmap.
Okay.
And the SaaS version totally fit with what we want to achieve in terms of digitalization and e-commerce.
And this also comes, tell me if I'm wrong, your business model used to be a pure B2B, working with distributors, distributing your products all over Europe and the world, and you wanted to turn direct to consumer.
Yeah, exactly. So first of all, the Akeneo was to gather all product information, and then Akeneo PIM become like a real launchpad for all websites we have. First of all, we have corporate website that is deployed in 18 countries in Europe. So all product information is coming from PIM. We have launched 1.5 years B2B platform to digitalize the relation between our subsidiaries and the retailers. And soon we will try and we will have a new adventure in D2C. And on this example also, the PIM will be the launchpad for D2C shop.
Okay.
So we manage globally 18 languages in the PIM, and we have 3 channels to showcase different type of data depending of where the data will go.
So you mentioned the languages, but how many subsidiaries are involved and benefiting from Akeneo?
Actually, we have more than 26 subsidiaries. So we still have some subsidiaries to convince, but globally we are more and more confident in the rollout program.
That's a good plan. So talking about expanding the business, Vidar, talking about European expansion, it may resonate with you, that global expansion. You told me that some of your main markets was actually the US and Germany, I think, yes? So can you say that being what we call a digital native vertical brand, did it help you to be global from day one? Was it a concern for you to go global?
Yeah, exactly. So we are selling direct to consumer and have always had a global sort of market mindset and constructed our whole business model and operations model based on that, which I think we're very lucky to not have to do the transformation into that. So from the beginning, we just sold everything from our website, so being 100% digital. And I think that's the way that we're going to try and always be digitally focused. However, what we quite early on felt, which is that producing a very tactile product, such as fashion and clothing, most people actually appreciate to feel and to see it on themselves and to try the different sizes. So what we did in the early days is that we had a concept called the city tour, which is when we went around to different cities in Europe. So we went out to Paris, Berlin, London, and so on. And we met up with our customers in like hotel lobbies, where we then brought suitcases full of all of our collection to show and to have them, feel and try the garments. And this is obviously not a scalable solution to talk with your customers, but it really opened up our eyes to understand the importance of having both a very nice digital presence, but also to have a physical presence of some sort. So since 2 years ago, we then have one flagship store in Stockholm, which you can see in the middle here, which is the Asket store, which we will then be rolling out in more cities in Europe in the coming years. But we then have the final piece, which then ties together the whole life cycle, which is what you see here. It's the Asket Restore. So it's actually over 3 years ago that we launched our revival program.
Okay.
So Julian, I'm borrowing one of the R's from your strategy here. So which basically means that all of the garments that you can buy from Asket, you can then return when you're not, when you don't want to wear them anymore, or you want to throw them away, and you will get some credits to buy new garments and to renew. But we will then take, full responsibility of these returned garments, so they're not burnt or thrown away like in many other fast fashion contexts. So since they are of such high quality, we can then wash them, repair them, mend them, and then resell them at a lower price point, which is then the Restore concept, which is also a physical location now opening in Stockholm.
So that's also why also product information is key. Probably one day you will need also to feed stores, physical point of stores, with product information. Probably you use them already, and that's great. I'd like to refocus on our topic with you, Julien, talking about managing sustainability with profitability, because that's also something you need to invest in, because it costs also a lot to invest in different way of producing. So when was your first range of recycled pen born, and what have been the key investments for sustainability, Julien?
So after the life assessment analysis, we have launched in 2006 a complete product range made at least of 70% of recycled plastic. So the name of this range called Be Green. And we were the first brand in the world to launch this kind of product. At the beginning, it was not totally accepted, quite new. But actually today it's very, very famous. And in the meantime, we also continue to improve the way of producing, the way of think product. Because more and more, and roughly all our new product is refillable now.
Okay.
And last 2 years, we succeed to inject also recycled plastic in our two bestseller, which is Friction and G2. I think you can see on the right side.
That's one, yeah.
So injection for bestseller. So it's a factory and manufacturing process, quite difficult because the raw material is not the same process of production than the recycled material.
And you explained to me you are very demanding. You do consider a pen to be green when it has what percentage of...
So globally today we have roughly 60 product model, which is recycle and eco-design one. And today the turnover is around 63% at European level.
So only with Be Green product?
Only with eco-design products.
Okay, so that really shows that people expect that.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
So we are still not at 100%. We still have work to do.
More than 60.
But in 15 years, we totally changed our business model thanks to Be Green range. Yeah.
That's huge. I think we have a video. I think it's now. Yeah. I love that video. This is really short, but when we were preparing that session with Julien, I told him that really the kids are really well educated at school with refilling pens and not throwing it and buying some. And I told him that it's true, each time my own daughter always asks me for buying refill and not pen. And I think that the young generation is really also educating us, and probably they are the one convincing their parents to buy and to contribute to your turnover.
Yeah, definitely. As Vidal said, we try to educate. thanks to different communication tools. So this is only one example, but we have many of that. Just to make understand that before to buy a new product, a new pen, think first about refill it, because it's less costly and environmentally more friendly, I can say.
That's great. We'll come back to you, Vidar, but just one important, very key thing with you at Pilot Pen, Julien, because I see that we have that slide right after. For Vidar, for Asket, it's pretty easy to own their brand identity. They manage that because they own their channels, the way they sell. But you, Julien, you depend on distributors. And sometimes, and we love talking about that at Akeneo, you took that example of when you invest time and energy in creating great product experiences with all the great logos, showing that this is a big green pen. And what happens then for the same pen, for the same product, on different channels, on unknown channels? This is something very important to tackle for you, right?
Yeah, definitely, because the distribution channel is quite long. So we are selecting from Japan product at European level. Then we distribute to our local distributors. Then we can have a wholesaler, retailers, and at the end, end users. So it's a real challenge to be sure that end users, we can provide complete and fresh information to end users. So we have to consider each actor to be sure that in all process we are able to provide good quality data.
And to do so, because we took other example with the same pen on different vendors, and we are not blaming the vendors, we are just saying here that the key piece to that, to succeed with also evangelizing the distributors, is definitely your sales guys, your sales guys.
Yeah, I think there is two levels. The first level is to convince managing director that a PIM solution is definitely a must-have to deal business, and not because it's not only to provide good quality pen, it's also to provide good quality services to have a competitive advantage, as mentioned just before. So the first step was to really explain to MDs how a PIM can be a strategic tool and efficient one. So in few weeks, we continue this battle. In few weeks, you will support us in our European meeting in order to continue to explain and learn on this topic.
Do our best to convince them
sure
about the importance of great product experience. And you're right to mention, and this is more than just basic product information. This is really key, and this enhances the business relationships too.
So this is the first level, and then this is the second level, because even if the PIM is considered as a strategic tool, in daily basis, if teams, operational teams, are not at ease used to the PIM, it's become also difficult to manage. So we organize also training with operational team to be sure that they totally understand how to use the PIM in an efficient way. So from enrichment till tailor export. And we hired a PIM coordinator, what we call PIM coordinator, in-house, in order to support daily basis questions we can receive from different countries. And in few months, we will continue to train people. Thanks to your team also, we will plan to have 3 different kind of trainings in digital way in order to, one more time, increase their knowledge.
That's a great engagement to make sure that everybody is on board, aligned with your strategy. Spreading the word internally, that's key. Thank you for sharing that, Julien. Vidar, when we talk about sustainability in fashion industry mostly, we know the returns have a big impact on that. And I asked you that question when we were preparing the session together. Do you have the same level of returns being a sustainable brand?
Yeah, so, I mean, unfortunately, yes, we do, since we're so, digitally focused. So selling more online means that we have to cope with these higher return rates. And consumers are being more and more mature in shopping online, which is a good thing, but it also entails a behavior where you order several t-shirts or several sizes in order to see which one you actually keep. So there are many different ways that we actually try to reduce the return rate. And one of them is what you can see here is the user-generated content, where we help our customers see what the garments actually look like on ordinary people, not just on the model slideshows.
To be inspired.
Exactly. So to be inspired, but also you can, like, clicking in on these images, you can actually see which sizes are being worn in the image, which I think is really, really useful.
Yes, because that was the second question I asked you. Are you able to say why are these products returned?
Yeah.
And you are such an answer.
Yeah, so the number there is that around 70% of all of our returns are size related. So obviously and definitely size is the majority of the whole return rate problem. And to solve that in specifically, we actually implemented our own proprietary technology here, which is what we call a size finder. And I think we should have a video.
We have a video to show, and we are talking about product information here.
Yeah.
Sharing size information.
Here you can just quickly see we're launching the size finder. So the size finder is a simple tool where you put in your measurements. You then respond on some easy questions about your body, what it looks like. And then lastly, you also answer some questions on how you want the shirt or the trousers to actually fit, which is then a very important component because many people want to have different fitting clothing. So we have then implemented this, and then we're running a quite simple but machine learning model underneath. And here, voila, we get the prediction. So 2 different predictions with 2 different certainties. And then you can add it as your size, and it will be automatically pre-filled on all of the product pages. But what you could also see in the beginning of the video, it went quite fast, is that we also have measurement charts. We have size guides, like how to measure the garments.
Yes, because for now, this size finder is only available for men. That's what we discussed. Yes.
Exactly. For now.
For now, and that's why, because we know also that the majority of returns, to be honest, are from women, right? So that's why you are investing in doing the same for women. But it's true that you already offer great information. I bought myself some T-shirt at Asket that I wear today, and I was perfectly able to find the right size with what you have invested in already, what you share with people. That was already enough.
So like all of the measurement charts and size guides, with Akeneo now we can just put all of that information within the PIM, which is very, very useful for us.
Okay, thank you for sharing that. For the last part of our conversation, we are perfect on time. I'd like to talk more about the technical aspect because that's also one of your specialty, Vida. What are you actually leveraging to support all of these challenges? So you share that with us. I'll let you explain.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm going to explain this in very high level, but I still think it's quite good to do. So this is the high level summary of our technical architecture. So going left to right, we first have Akeneo as our PIM, and then we have Centra, which is like a headless order management system, OMS, or like a PIM Lite. So it's where we hosted our products before, but now we've moved that to Akeneo. And then the whole architecture by itself is a headless and very Mac Alliance compatible architecture with API first. So in the middle here we have the sort of Asket app where we have just the backend. We also have our data models and all of our APIs, which then feed data onto our website and our customer-facing platforms. And there we are also running Algolia, which I saw is one of the companies that are here today as well. Yeah. Also very excited to hear actually more about the direct connections between Akeneo PIM and perhaps Algolia in the future, who knows?
Okay.
But yeah, so we are pushing our data to Algolia, our CMS, and our CDP. And then in the bottom, we also have our point of sale system, which we're running in our store. and also our BI, our business intelligence tool, Tableau, which really ties the whole thing together with analytics.
So what we keep in mind is that you have invested to be future ready. No matter which new challenge you have to support the brand's growth strategy, you're ready to go, right?
Yeah.
I want to finish also with you, Julien, because what is key for you, you tell it, is to make sure that all of your subsidiaries are on board. What do you do to do that, to succeed? How do you invest in subsidiaries today?
Actually, we have a quite complicated translation process.
Okay.
Actually, we enrich at European level all product information in English.
Okay.
And then we have a ticketing platform to inform country that new product content is available. And then we share with them nice Excel sheets in order to get from there translation or adaptation. But actually, it's very time consuming. So we are not in advance on that topic. And so we are thinking about an automatic translation process in order to be even more efficient in this process, especially because in several countries, it's a detail, but sometimes evil is on details. Only marketing manager is able to translate from English to their native language. But marketing managers' time is precious, so sometimes they are not totally available to make translation in big Excel sheet. So they often ask to customer service to do so. But it's difficult because they are not totally English speaker. So that's why we try, and we will try to provide native language content and just get revision from their customer service team.
You want to ease their life,
Yeah,
they will just have to
definitely.
validate, refine if needed, instead of really creating content.
Exactly.
Okay, that's a good point.
Yeah,
So you keep on made in easy. To finish that conversation, now that you have established that strong foundation, what are your next main goals, objectives in the coming weeks, months? Vidar?
Yeah, sure. So one of the very exciting things that I'm going to be working with, also with Akeneo, is that, as I mentioned, we have a very transparent product page where we show all of our facilities and where they're located. And we also have even more information on the facilities, such as how many employees are working there, how much are they working, and imagery as well. And we're actually now hosting all of that information in Akeneo. But all of this information have been put there by ourselves. So currently it's our product designers and managers that are chasing the different factories, gathering all of this information, and then putting it into Akeneo. But I think that Akeneo Onboarder is one of those tools that could really elevate the process there. So having our facilities and factories actually being able to enrich the facilities themselves, which will then show up on the product detail page.
That's an interesting use case.
Yeah. And then obviously another project is, as I mentioned, with the store and the restore, which will then need new and adapted product information being fed to the point of sale. So working a lot with perfecting the information stream from PIM to point of sale. Yeah.
Perfect. You have a great PEGS vision, a PEGS strategy defined. That's clear. What's yours, Julien?
So I think three main points. First, to continue to enrich data, because we know that it's so important to have complete product data in the PIM and for countries. So, and we will also continue to train teams because more the content will be complete, more the people will be trained, more the PIM will be at strategic level and use. So this is the first. The second is to dig automation data sharing with directly retailers. So quite exciting about the news of this morning.
Okay.
Definitely we have to dig with that one more time to increase operational efficiency. I heard about Amazon, but there are also many coming, yeah. And we also have in our business like what we call data provider, but it's data collector that collects all product data for many brands and then sell this data to big mass market players. And it's difficult sometimes to share information with them. So probably that's why I need to dig.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
So everything to accelerate the business,
Definitely.
making sure that it keeps your brand image. I really like to thank you for your time, investment in preparing this session. These are the key takeaways that I did for the previous session that I keep from our conversation and I'd love to share with the audience today. Awareness is fine, education is key, I would say, Vidar. Build to last. Think about your entire architecture. I really keep that in mind too.
And it's also not just from a technical standpoint, but also from the business standpoint. So as you and Pilot are building you're constructing your pens to last, to be able to refill. Definitely. So it's like a business objective fundamentally. And also tying back to what we saw this morning, which is that getting attention from your recurring customers. So getting those returning customers in really requires your tech and your business to last, so that they are happy all along the customer lifetime. Really is key.
Definitely agree. And sustainability is a game changer. We are convinced, and it's never too late. And that's really what I think, what I keep also from you. I love that story from Pilot Pens, really embracing that change, being a game changer, and consider your subsidiary. Of course, it's key, and other entities to succeed. And definitely automate as much as you can to ease all the business user life. Thanks a lot, Vidar and Julien. Thanks a lot for joining and for sharing. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome.